Pinnipeds are a very playful and inquisitive group of mammals, and there are 33 different species of them alive today. Some of them can be seen battling it out on cold windy beaches, others are forced to dodge polar bears on sea ice, and some are feared by penguins and humans alike. In today's video, we'll be travelling around the world taking a look at some of the most interesting species, as we'll be ranking each of the 7 continents by their largest pinniped. Because pinnipeds are free to move around our oceans, there are a few rules that we need to go over, because just like birds, they sometimes get lost and end up in places where they don't really belong. To be featured in this video, the pinniped must be a resident to the continent, and I'll be ranking the animals based on their maximum weight in the wild. Without further ado, we can head over to our first location, and for the first time in a long time, we won't be heading to Antarctica first. Africa has its fair share of giant mammals, but the vast majority of them are found on land. If you look at the global distribution of all pinniped species, you'll notice that only some parts of Africa boast any pinniped species at all. The Cape fur seal is easily the most well-known and numerous species on the continent, but this mammal isn't only found in the waters around southern Africa. That's because the name Cape fur seal actually refers to a subspecies, and the other subspecies of this seal is found around the coasts of southern Australia. A fur seal's life is very rarely carefree, as there are predators both on the land and in the water that want to take a chunk out of you. In both Africa and Australia, they are targets for marine predators such as great white sharks and the arguably more terrifying orca. But on the shores of Africa, they also need to keep an eye out for lions and hyenas. The desert lions of the Skeleton Coast are known for their seal hunting tendencies, and this is a reaction to the scarcity of their normal prey in the region. In between dodging predators, they do have a little time to hunt, and they mostly target small fish, but in rare instances they'll even hunt sharks and seabirds. These mammals can be found in giant colonies and play a very important role in their ecosystem, but they aren't the only pinnipeds that can be found on the continent. Africa is sometimes visited by giant species from southern waters, but these animals rarely stay long and are often lost. Some sources claim that the Cape fur seal is the only resident pinniped in Africa, but there's another species on the northern coast that often goes under the radar. The Mediterranean monk seal has quite a scattered distribution today, but some of its last remaining strongholds are along the African coasts. As you might have guessed from my wording, they aren't exactly thriving in the wild, as there are only around 700 individuals across 4 isolated subpopulations. Their decline was of course caused by man, as it's thought that the Romans hunted them relentlessly, and in the 20th century they were targeted by fishermen as they damaged nets and stole fish. It's a real shame that we decimated their populations in the past, as they are incredibly intelligent and distinctive seals. They'll often rest and care for their young in caves that can only be accessed underwater, and they have been observed lifting rocks to look for their desired prey. This rare seal is also the largest seal that can be found in African waters, with a maximum weight of around 400 kilograms. This means that Africa slots in at number 7, and the Mediterranean monk seal can also be found in our next location. The coasts of Europe are home to a wide variety of seals, but there are also some freshwater subspecies which can be found in its giant lakes. The Saimaa ringed seal is a freshwater ringed seal subspecies, and it's endemic to Lake Saimaa in Finland. They spend most of their days feeding on European freshwater fish species such as perch and roach, but on land they need to look out for predators such as white-tailed eagles. Even though these freshwater seals are interesting oddities, they are still relatively small, and to find the larger species we'll have to head into the ocean. The harbour seal is one of the most common species that can be found around the continent, with around 100,000 of them being found in European waters. This species can also be found along the coasts of North America and Asia, and even though they have a giant population, they are still relatively small seals. The grey seal is another species that enjoys living in Europe's salt waters, with around 40% of all grey seals living around the UK. This seal's long face makes it appear almost like a dog, and I'm sure any divers that are lucky enough to have met one will also tell you that they act like dogs too. They are extremely inquisitive, and will often follow and approach divers to try and work them out. These water puppies are arguably the most adored species that can be found in Europe, but to find the larger species you'll have to head north. Iceland and the Norwegian archipelago of Svalbard are home to a wide range of Arctic pinnipeds, with some of them having striking colorations and adaptations. The hooded seal has a wide range across the northern Atlantic Ocean, and it's known for both its blotchy black and grey coloration, and its inflatable sac which the males use to attract females and intimidate rivals. The bearded seal is one of the largest seals across the continent, but in my opinion this species is misnamed. Its beard is more like a mustache, and its large mustache helps it to find fish, clams and squid on the ocean floor. The largest pinniped in Europe also shares its waters with this distinguished seal, and they also have a mustache that can rival them. There are over 5,500 walruses that can be found in and around the Svalbard archipelago, and in this area they need to keep their eyes out for predators. This saying doesn't really work for the walrus as they famously have very bad eyesight, and instead they rely on their smell to sense danger. The polar bear is a master at hunting unsuspecting seals, and they'll even hunt walruses from time to time. Even though walruses will sometimes fight back using their tusks, in most cases polar bears are able to overpower them. In the water they hunt in a very similar way to the bearded seals, hunting a wide range of animals on the ocean floor. This diet allows them to reach monstrous sizes, and they're easily the largest pinniped that can be found in European waters. The Atlantic walrus is generally smaller than its Pacific counterpart, with it reaching a maximum weight of around 1.5 metric tons. The Atlantic walrus's bulk means that Europe is fit for 6th place, and for our next section we'll be heading over to a neighbour. Because Asia is right next to Europe, it shares many of the same pinniped species, but there are a few that are absent from Europe altogether. In Lake Baikal, you'll find a very well-known freshwater seal in the Baikal Nerpa, and unlike the Saimaa ringed seal, it's a distinct species and not a subspecies. Lake Baikal is the deepest lake in the world, and it spends most of its time feeding on the fish and crustaceans that can be found in its depths. By living in a lake, their lives are a little more carefree as they don't have to worry about predatory marine mammals or sharks, but on land they are sometimes targeted by brown bears. This is part of the reason why they prefer to rest on the islands along the lake instead of on shore, but in the winter the solid ice means that they are more at risk. Thankfully these seals have very healthy numbers in the wild, with an estimated population of around 80,000 to 100,000 individuals. The Japanese sea lion was a marine species that inhabited the waters around Japan and the Korean peninsula, but the last sighting of this animal was in 1974. They were overhunted for their skins and their blubber, and they were almost completely wiped out in the blink of an eye. It's tragic that these animals no longer swim in our oceans, but as we'll get to later on in the video, these aren't the only pinnipeds that have gone extinct in the past few hundred years. Today, one of the more common seals in the Far East is the spotted seal, but the harbour seal is again another common resident. In my opinion, the most beautiful seal in the world is the ribbon seal, with its black and white or brown and white pattern being matched by no other pinniped. There are also a few fur seals and sea lions that can be found along Asia's coasts, such as the Steller sea lion, which is the largest sea lion in the world. This mammal's numbers have been massively affected by overfishing in recent years, but thankfully in some parts of their range they are bouncing back. Adult males can weigh over 1.1 metric tons, which is over 100 kilograms heavier than the largest polar bear on record. Asia shares the Steller sea lion and many other pinnipeds with North America, as a wide range of species can be found along the coasts of the Bering Sea. The largest pinniped in Asia can also be found in North America, and it's a species that we've already taken a look at. The Pacific walrus lives a very similar life to its Atlantic counterpart, but it has a few physical differences. Pacific walruses tend to have longer tusks and thicker skulls, and of course they are a little bit larger. In the wild, the Pacific walrus can reach a maximum weight of around 2 metric tons, which means that Asia slots in at a close number 5. Once again, North America shares many pinniped species with both Europe and Asia, and just like these continents, it also has a few freshwater seals. The Iliamna lake seal is found in Alaska's largest body of fresh water, and it's one of only 2 freshwater harbour seal populations. The other population is found in the freshwater lakes of northern Quebec, meaning that North America is the only place where you can find freshwater harbour seals. Along the islands of North America you can spot a few endemic species, with one of the most famous examples being the Hawaiian monk seal. This iconic pinniped is the only seal native to Hawaii, but unfortunately, just like the Mediterranean monk seal, it's also endangered. It's completely reliant on conservation, with a population of around 1,400 individuals in the wild. They've been affected by human encroachment, hunting, and fishing nets over the years, but thankfully today they are protected. These mammals appear to be full of character, as they've been witnessed interacting with other animals in strange ways. They'll sometimes cuddle up to sea turtles on beaches, and they have been known to get eels stuck in their noses from time to time. If you go back 100 years, then there was another monk seal on the other side of North America, but unfortunately today they are presumed extinct. The Caribbean monk seal was once pretty widespread along the east coast of southern North America and northern South America, but overhunting and overfishing led to their demise, and the last individual was spotted in Jamaica in 1952. It's impossible to talk about North American pinnipeds without mentioning the California sea lion, as it's the most common sea lion on the continent, being found along most of the west coast. This sea lion sometimes shares its habitat with the northern fur seal, which is another species that can be found in the far east of Asia. They can be found in giant colonies in a few different locations across their range, and they have an estimated population of around 1.3 million. This may sound like a lot, but it's nothing compared to their historic numbers, as we humans have ruthlessly targeted them for hundreds of years. They are the species that's being slaughtered in this now very well-known image, and an estimated 2.5 million of them were killed from 1786 to 1867. Unfortunately, their numbers are still declining across much of their range, and it's believed that overfishing may be part of the problem. To find the largest pinniped in North America, we'll have to stay on the west coast, as this is where you can find the northern elephant seal. This seal is called so because of its elephant-like proboscis, and it uses this to make strange sounding calls. The males of this species are many times the size of the females, and they will battle each other sometimes to the death for control of the beach. A high-ranking bull can have a harem of around 30 to 100 cows, and many of the bulls are willing to die for this prize. Because of their colossal size, they are only really targeted by great white sharks and orcas, and for these predators they would be a pretty substantial meal. The northern elephant seal can reach a maximum weight of around 2.3 metric tons, and this means that they dwarf even the largest walrus. For this reason, North America slots in at 4th place, and this mammal must be pretty intimidating to meet in the water. Now, one of the main reasons that I chose this topic was so that Antarctica didn't come in last place for once, but there's a reason why I haven't covered this topic sooner. The final 3 continents all have the same largest pinniped, but I've decided to rank them differently. The southern elephant seal is the largest pinniped in the world, and it's a resident of Antarctica, South America, and Oceania. Like I've done in previous videos in this series, I'll rank the final 3 continents based on other pinnipeds that can be found there, as well as the southern elephant seal, and that means that first we'll be heading to South America. Just like North America, South America also has a few pinniped species that can be found on its offshore islands, including the Galapagos fur seal and the Juan Fernandez fur seal. These 2 species are the smallest and second smallest fur seals in the world, and they both take advantage of the biodiverse reefs that surround the islands that they inhabit. Surprisingly, the Galapagos fur seal isn't the only pinniped that can be found on the shores of the Galapagos Islands, as the Galapagos sea lion also hunts in these rich waters. Just like the Galapagos fur seal, the Galapagos sea lion is the smallest of its kind, and it's believed to be the closest relative of the aforementioned California sea lion. Back on the mainland, you can find more fur seals in the South American fur seal, and you can also find the second largest sea lion in the world in the South American sea lion. This giant is highly sexually dimorphic, with males being over double the size of females, and having a visible mane and upturned snouts. If it wasn't for the southern elephant seal, the South American sea lion would be the largest pinniped on the continent, but the southern elephant seal shares its home with these mammals, and it really makes them look tiny. This species lives a very similar life to its northern cousin, but of course they get much larger. It's really quite difficult to fully comprehend their size, but the bulls are around 40% larger than the northern elephant seal bulls, and they're nearly twice the size of a male walrus, and 6 to 7 times larger than Kodiak and polar bears. Of course, the southern elephant seal will never meet these predators across their range, but surprisingly they're still targets for the most dominant marine predators. If they come across potential predators in the wild, then it's a good idea to dive, as they can reach depths of almost 2.4 kilometers. This means that your average elephant seal has seen things that we humans will likely never see, and even though they are relatively sluggish on land, it's a good idea to give them a wide berth. The southern elephant seal can reach a maximum weight of around 4 metric tons, but some experts believe that they can get even larger. This means that because of reasons that I explained earlier, South America slots in at 3rd place, and our next continent is another elephant seal hunting ground. Oceania isn't exactly known for its pinnipeds, but there are a few interesting species that can be found here. As I mentioned at the start of the video, the Afro-Australian fur seal inhabits Australian waters, but there's another fur seal species in the Australasian fur seal, which can also be found in New Zealand. Australia only has one endemic pinniped species, and it's one of the most beautiful sea lions in the world. The Australian sea lion is known for its relatively light and warm coloration, but unfortunately it's one of the rarest of its kind. This might have something to do with its reproduction, as they have one of the longest gestation periods of any mammal, with it lasting around 18 months. When the pups are large enough, they can take advantage of the diverse ecosystems around Australia's coasts, but of course these are very dangerous waters too. Further south in New Zealand, you can spot the glorious New Zealand sea lion, which takes the unwanted title of the rarest sea lion in the world, having an estimated population of around 10,000 individuals. This species is endemic to New Zealand, and it's one of the largest animals that can be found in and around the country. It's one of New Zealand's only native mammals, and it's one of the most distinctive of all sea lions. Females will often travel great distances inland to protect their pups, with some mothers being spotted 2 kilometers away from the ocean. Some of the penguins of New Zealand share this strange behaviour, as for most of their existence there were no land predators in New Zealand, meaning that it was a lot safer to head inland. So far, it's difficult to argue that Oceania should be placed higher than South America, but Oceania isn't only home to the southern elephant seal, which can be found on New Zealand's southern islands, but it's also home to the leopard seal. For a long time, leopard seals were considered to be visitors to New Zealand, but relatively recently they were reclassified as residents. These giant predators are easily the most intimidating pinnipeds on the planet, and tragically in one unfortunate case, one leopard seal did claim the life of a human. They appear to be completely fascinated with us, often forming bonds with divers and offering them penguins to eat. In the wild, they'll feed on pretty much anything that they can catch and overpower, with them being particularly fond of penguins and sometimes other pinnipeds. This allows them to reach a maximum weight of around 590 kilograms, which is around the same weight as a large male polar bear. This seal's presence along with the southern elephant seal means that Oceania slots in at 2nd place, and for our final section we'll be heading somewhere very cold. Antarctica is easily the continent with the most pinnipeds, and some of the seals that call these waters home can't be found anywhere else in the world. The crab-eater seal has a very misleading name as they don't actually eat crabs, as instead they mostly feed on krill, with it making up around 90% of their diets. It has specialised teeth that allow it to filter krill from the water, and the aforementioned leopard seal also shares this adaptation. The crab-eater seal is pretty large, reaching lengths of around 2 meters, but arguably what's more impressive is their population. It's the most abundant seal species in the world, and it's extremely hard to estimate exactly how many of them there are. It's believed that there are anywhere from 15 to 75 million of them on the planet today, so it's possible that they could have a similar population to the country of Thailand. On the other hand of the scale, you have the Ross seal, which is the rarest and least well known of all the Antarctic seals. On many of the Antarctic islands, you'll find fur seals chilling with king penguins, and nearer the Antarctic mainland, you can spot the feisty Weddell seal. The Weddell seal uses fast ice environments for extra protection from predators, as they'll often carve holes in the ice to breathe from, and this means that orcas are unable to get to them as there is too much solid ice in the way. Of course, Antarctica is also home to the giant southern elephant seal and the leopard seal, and its collection of various different giant seals means that it easily takes the top spot. So finally, there's a video for all of you that complain that Antarctica always comes in at last place, and I'm sure that I'll come up with another one in the future. Of course, I was unable to include all of the pinniped species in this video, so if there's one that you think that I should have featured, then let me know down below. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.